Good evening everybody and welcome along then to the season finale here at RRC's FNR in the Silver Division. We are here at the beautiful Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona for the final time of season 1. Well, what a season it has been. That guy Alex winning the championship, and then in that Racing Point, he took the race victory last weekend. If you're watching, started 20th on the grid but finished on the top step. That was at Paul Ricard in France. This circuit here offers a different challenge. So 2.89 miles round this 16 turn circuit. Look out for the overtakes that you'll see coming down into the braking zone at turn 1 off that massively long DRS straight. Don't forget turn 9 at the top of the hill, that DRS straight also offering another overtaking opportunity for the drivers. So here we go then, the 18-minute qualifying 1 session has started, and we see the first batch of drivers making their way out onto the track. We've only got 19 drivers tonight, unfortunately, but it still promises to be an exciting race. We can see a Ferrari getting ready to come out there. I think that's a Red Bull. That is the first on track, and it is indeed. That's Jason. You can see there in that Red Bull. First time he made Q2 last weekend, so very good achievement for him. He will be looking to that same performance in this session. So if you've tuned in for the first time or you're new to league racing as a whole, here at RRC we run races across 6 different nights. Friday night, this night, we run 2 divisions, the gold and silver, both with full calendars, and each team having 2 drivers that will go for the Drivers' Championship and also a Constructors' Championship. But the Constructors' Championship is the 4 drivers across the 2 divisions. So that's the 2 from gold and 2 from silver. All the drivers in silver are in equal car performance, as is standard with online league racing, but they're only allowed to use the preset setups for their cars that are offered in game. So on board with Jason, who comes up towards Repsol then for the first time in this session. We see a driver 22.3 is the benchmark at the moment. He comes round down towards the braking zone of turn 5. Nice exit, a little bit wide on the exit there. You're allowed to use that green runoff on the right hand side, but you don't want to take it too much. We've already got a car going wide here, as they see in the gravel. There's a Haas, so that Haas there has gone round. I believe that is Cyro who is turned round. We'll just double check. So it was indeed Cyro. He's gone round. And then so Jason comes in sector 2 up in towards what is the sort of hilly chicane section of 11 and 12. And we come round then. Europe can't start this nice chicane. Remember, it did used to be that long-winded right-hander here at Catalunya, but it was remade and they added these turns 14, 15 and 16. That chicane, you little sort there at the RACC, they like to call it in the zone, and it's a 120.5 from Jason. But I set to see that time tumble then. Who's come across the line? That is Gavilar in the Williams. He goes faster, 120.1, so already 4 times faster than Jason then. As we see now, just a few cars left in the pit lane, most of them on their flyers. Who's that about to cross? So that's the Alpha. I think that's Dragon on speed. So there you go, already into the 119, the 119.7 for the Alfa Romeo driver. We've seen across this season that he goes very early in these sessions, and he's already gone there. He beats Regan, who's just gone second with a 119.8. Puppy a 121.7 in the Renault then. Unfortunately, he's not got a teammate tonight, Puppy. The real DC's been up there for most of this season, but he's in the gold division tonight, testing himself ahead of a potential boost up there next season. As we can see, the first 5 times have been set then. As a Racing Point's about to cross the line, that's your championship winner Alex there. So he's just gone third fastest on 119.8. Devil's Nightmare goes 6th, a 120.6. So already those times within about a second and a half of each other. But obviously Puppy there, and who's that? That's Stead. So the Alfa Romeo setting the early pace, a 119 flat from Stead, a 0.86. Very good lap from him. As we see 2 more drivers about to cross the line. See Benny Boy coming out there. That was Gav and Jason heading into the pit lane. So we jump on board with Benny Boy for his outlaps then. as we stay on board for a chat there. So this is the exit of turn 3 as you come up towards the ever tight Repsol, then keeping that car nice and tight for a wide exit. Take a little bit of curb on that left hand side before dragging the car right and left through this hairpin of turn 5, if you can call it hairpin. As I said, you're allowed to run a little bit wider on the exit. You see that green tarmac there on the right hand side. You can get through there. A little kink of turn 6 that you don't really notice of driving, but I mean, Benny Boy going a little bit wide there through turn 7 and 8, but nice little chicane there, and up through the hill. Watch this later on in the race, up the hill through turn 9. If you can get that done well, you'll have a great run through this DRS zone up towards the next tight turn on the corner, which is turn 10. You can see stick nice and tight to the apex on the left hand side. You've got to be careful as you come up the hill here through turns 11 and 12. You don't want to take too much of that carb because it will fling you left. You don't want to put the power down too early coming around this right hander of turn 12 as your back end will step out. And then on the approach to turn 13, you can see nice tight curb apex there. And this is the key section for the lap 14, 15. You want to start your lap then, Benny Boy, go wide and then put the pedal to the floor around turn 16 as you start your lap time here at the Circuit de Catalunya. So here we go. Benny Boy hasn't set a lap time yet. We've got 9 cars setting a lap time. Cyro has gone into P9. So a few cars opting to back off their original laps. That's why they are back in the pit lanes then. So Benny Boy coming through turn 2 and 3 then. Coming nice and round. You can sit your throttle down quite well round here. Don't want to go too wide, but you can also afford to go wide. So it's sort of where you can find speed in this purple for the Williams driver in this first sector then. Nice and tight on the exit, as I said, getting close to that right hand curve as you come down in towards turn 5. How wide does he take the exit? You can see he goes wide, but he still got a little bit more runoff if he wants to use it as we come up through turn 6 into TV3, the chicane for 7 and 8, and Benny Boy is sent into the wall then. So that is the first sign of what can happen if you get the curbs wrong. You see there the wing on the floor, and Benny Boy will need to come in again. So as Nismo starts his lap then, he's coming through turn 1. His teammate Jason currently in P6. Nismo yet to set a lap time. To come up through the hill at turn 2. Round in towards Repsol then. I was fortunate enough to do my first commentary of the season here at Catalunya for one of the other divisions that we run, and that was a brilliant race there, and I'm hoping for more of the same now. As you can see, a few more drivers beginning their outlaps that have yet to set a time. Those include Tristan, Reina as well, LH in the Mercedes still in the pit lane. So we're on board with Nismo there as he comes round through turn 9 at the top of the hill. Does well there to run a little bit wide on the apex. You pull the car right gradually as you come in towards the approach of turn 10. Bit wide on the exit from the Red Bull driver though, and you can see there he's taken too much of that left hand curb, and I did say it will catch you out. Done so just then. He will have to probably pit for a fresh set of tyres or at least refuel then. So what about Toon riding on board with him as he's coming up the hill now? DRS opens up, you can see there. Look out for overtakes into this harsh braking zone at turn 10 during the race. How does he handle the hill of turn 11? Still a little bit wide on the exit from the Ferrari driver, but you can see they deciding to take the route. We take a lot of that left hand curb, but he gets the car nice and tight through the apex of turn 12, and that allows him a nice run here into 13, 14, 16, nice and tight on the left hand side, flicking your car right. Oh, but he's lost it on the exit, so Toon took a little bit too much curb on that right hand side, and it flung his back end around, and you can see there he's invalidated his lap time, but worse than that, he will need to pit. And Zemo said that time we've got a car off at the start of the lap. I think that's let Reina through. You can see, oh no, what? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Just as we jump on board with Reina, we saw Haas there, has lost it coming out of turn 2. He's almost taken out Reina, who goes purple in sector 1. So Reina, part of the Mercedes quadruple driver lineup that has won the FNR title this year. What sort of time does he manage on his first run? He opens the DRS as we come up towards turn 10. 51.7 in that second section then. So purple once more for the Mercedes driver. Stead currently sets the fastest lap of this session at 1:19.0. 8 minutes and 30 seconds left of the session, so almost half the session has gone. As we come down now through turn 14 into turn 15 then. Nice and tight exit. He runs a little bit wider, which is what you're allowed to do. That's why that sort of green tarmac is there. You don't want to take too much or you will invalidate the lap time, but you can't afford to run off. And it's P2 for Reina then. So a 1:19.2 for the Mercedes driver. So that 2/10 behind Stead. As I always say, this first qualifying session in this format of 1, 2 and 3 is, as long as you're not in those final 5 elimination places, you will be happy. So that's currently 4 for today with only 19 drivers. So currently Stead, Nathan, Benny Boy and LH are the drivers at risk. But obviously, once again, I always say if you're on pole position for the first initial run, that gives you good confidence going forward, because you might have a heavier fuel load, you might have an older set of tyres when you set your lap. So going forward, you have a great chance in your mind that you're able to do it. So what will we see from the rest of the drivers to respond to Stead? As we saw a purple sector 2 from Nathan in the second sectors. We were riding on board with some of the drivers there. He's coming around into turns 14 and 15 now. You can see keeping nice and tight. A little bit wide on the exit of 14 though. Using that runoff on the left hand side, he comes around the final corner, up in through the gears, 170 miles an hour almost as you cross the line, and it's P2 from Nathan at 1:19.1. He goes just 400 behind Stead. Probably will be good enough to see him through into Q2 then. Whoever else have we got on track? Tristan yet to set a lap time. He's coming around the final corner now. Needs at least a 1:23.3 to stay as the last time driver, and he goes 4th, a 1:19.7. So already 5 or 6 drivers, 7 in fact, in that 1:19 category. We said when the first lap was set that expect that to go down, and you can see that already. Stead a 1:19.0 leads Nathan and Reina provisionally here in Q1. At risk though, 4 drivers that have yet to set times down: Nismo, Steve, Benny and LH. Benny Boy we saw went off. Nismo, we were on board with him, but he invalidated his lap and decided to box it in the pit lane because of that spin coming out of turn 12. So we jump on board with the Williams of Benny. Then he's coming up out of turn 9 through the hill down towards turn 10, and the tight left-hander very wide though. Seems like he's just missed his braking point then. That'll be unfortunate for the Williams driver, so he will have to go around. And what about Nismo? What can he manage? He's coming up through turn 7 and 8 now. As he comes around turn 9, opens his DRS. 5 minutes and 45 seconds left in this session. See the race point pulling aside to let these 2 drivers through. Nismo managing to make his braking point then as he comes up through turn 11 and 12. He's opting for that other line, as I said, in turn 11. He's staying a little bit wider, so compromise entry almost on 12, but it means you don't run the risk of putting your tyres on those curbs and spinning them a little bit too much and pushing your car around. So we can see in front of him there, that is Benny Boy coming into the pits as Nismo rounds the final corner, opens his DRS, and he puts that Red Bull up into P10. So just a few hundredths behind his teammate, just 32 hundredths behind his teammate, 28 in fact. So nice lap from the Red Bull driver. Might want to consider going out again though. We've got DSG Toon Fan still to set a time. He spun it coming out of the final chicane as Reina jumps. As Regan jumps Reina into P3 on his second flying lap. You can see on the left hand side on the timing screens. We've got LH currently out on his flying lap. He's coming around the final corner, but what sort of comes across the line now? It is a 1:19.3, so he goes behind his teammate into the top 5 then. That pushes Cyro into the drop elimination places for Q2. We've got 4 minutes or so left in this session. We expect to see drivers heading out about 2.5 minutes to spare if they haven't already gone for their second or third flying laps in this session. And currently that is Stead on what is provisional pole for the moment, but obviously doesn't mean too much just yet. Nathan in second and Regan in third, but look down at the bottom there, you can see Cyro on another outlap. He's currently in P16 with a 1:23.377. Mono just above him a 1:22.722. Apex a 1:22.7 flat. Poppy 1:7. Who's that? That's just gone up. So someone has just set a lap time. That is I search for Super Steve then. So Super Steve has gone P10 with a 1:20.4. The Haas driver doing a very nice lap there, just a few tenths behind Gav in P9. So he might have enough fuel to go around again. If not, has he got time to go around again as Benny Boy leaves the session then? So whether that is a connectivity issue or not, that will be big problems for the Williams driver. As we see the Ferrari of Toon on his outlap, and the other Ferrari of Devil's Nightmare looking like he is coming out of the pits yet. There he is. Who's that's a Racing Point. That is Tristan by the looks of things. So he's currently in P6 but looking to set a better lap time. Be interesting to see whether he's gone for the used set of softs that he set his first lap with, which by the looks of that camera angle I think he has gone for, or if he opts to use that second fresh set in this session. Now with the 3 qualifying sessions as we have here, it's interesting to look at going forward, because in Q1 it's all about just getting through to Q2, but then in Q2 is where you'll set your strategy in this 50% race format that we run. You're required by the rules to run at least 2 different dry compounds if there is no rain. If there is rain, then that is all out the window. So hopefully for the drivers there is no rain here at this circuit. Remember, it's quite a high speed circuit, so you tend to lower your downforce levels a little bit for those sort of first straights out onto the final pit straight and then coming out of turn 9. But you obviously do need a bit of downforce as well for example turns 14 and 15, 7 and 8. So interesting to see what the drivers go for. But as I was saying about strategy in Q2, you tend to try and run the mediums if you can, go harder on the first stint and slower and sort of softer compound on that second stint. But that all depends on the drivers around you. If drivers opt for the softer strategy first time round, then that might throw yours out the window and you have to then try and get through. So Tristan starts his second flying lap then. Just a few tenths between him and LH, 3.8 just to be exact. As he comes around through turn 3, taking a wide line on that exit there as turn 2. So nice. That right hander of turn 1 allows you to run a little bit wide on turn 2, but then you flick your car left and all the way around 3, then you come through Repsol here at turn 4, again nice and wide on the exit, allows you to gradually move that car for the entry into turn 5, opening up the little kink there of 6. You can see just ahead of the Racing Point driver up through the challenging hill of 7 and 8. Don't want to take too much of that curve. We saw Benny Boy do it earlier. He went into the wall, lost his front wing. Turn 9, another key corner. You take too much of that curve, you might spin and hit the wall. You take it wrong, you might go wide the other way. But if you can nail it, you gain a lot of speed on that exit. We're through turn 10 now, on board with the Racing Point drivers. Comes up through the final sector of this circuit, coming nicely round through turn 12. Red Bull getting out of the way for the approach to 13. You can see the sausage curve there on that corner, can kick your car out if you take too much. Same with these corners at 14 and 15. A little bit wider possibly for Tristan. Would have gained him a bit more time. He comes around the final corner then. Will he improve on a 1:19.7? It's a 1:19.5. So he does improve, but he stays in P6. We can see a little bit of shuffling down the bottom there. Devil's Nightmare and Apex jumping at Puppy. So just one driver yet to set a lap time. That is Benny Boy. We saw he did leave the session. We got just 5 seconds left, and you can see loads of those drivers opting not to go, and that means Benny Boy will not be in Q2, nor will Puppy. The Renault driver is out. He set that 1 lap earlier in the session, hasn't managed to make it out for another. So as LH retires from the session, you can see on the minimap the Mercedes is in the wall and on board with Tristan there. He's lost it at turn 7. He's taken a little too much curve and he's missing his front left. So disaster for the Mercedes driver. He will not be taking part anymore in this session, even if he does make it into Q2. As Mono comes around the final few corners, where can he put that McLaren? Can he get through this part of qualifying? No, he does not improve. He's 0.3 faster, but that is not enough. He will start in P18. That just leaves Cyro, who has parked his car there. He will not be improving. So there you have it. The first 4 drivers eliminated in the session are Puppy, Cyro, Mono and Benny Boy rounds out the grid. But we have lost LH then. He crashed his Mercedes, at turn 7, and that means he will not be taking part in Q2. So just 4 drivers will be eliminated from that session, much like this one, as we just wait now for the cars to finish and cross the line or box as such. So as we look on to Q2 then, I mentioned earlier that is the session to sort your strategy for the race. If you make it into that top 10, you're required to start on the tyres that you set your fastest lap on with Q2. And I believe that a lot of them will be going for that medium strategy. In confirmation there that you can see Stead tops the timing session with a 1:19.086, and your 5 drivers to be eliminated. LH, who made it through but crashed, so will not take part. Puppy, Cyro, Mono and Benny Boy with those connectivity issues. He starts from the back of the grid. So here we go then. We are just about to start this Q2 session. A very, very happy group of people here at RRC with the news that was announced in the last couple of days that F1 will be restarting in July. So just in time for the release of the new game. From our point of view, we will also have it back on the big screen, those back-to-back races in Austria to kick off that. So here we go then, Q2, 15 minutes where you set your race strategy for the top 10. If you don't, you just get free reign, much like the other drivers on the grid. So looking ahead, I expect to see the Alfa Romeos up the top. They set the pace early on in that first session. Sorry, your championship leader Alex among the top runners there. Rayner making the top 5 alongside Nathan as well. As we can see, a few drivers coming out now to start their lap time. One of those is Toon Fan. You're opting for those yellow walled mediums. You can see around, I believe that is Dragon on speed. So yeah, he has front end out of the raw one. He looks very much like he got his wing intact, so that'll be good news for the Alfa Romeo driver. He's opted for the sort of silver. Quite possibly that will be another strategy to look out for in a race, whether you start on the hards and go on to the mediums, or you start on the mediums and go on to the hards. So the softs, because of those long straights and sort of harsh braking zones, the degradation is a little bit higher than you'd expect at some of the other circuits on the calendar. So it's almost like the mediums is the softer compound for this session, but I still expect a lot of those drivers to go on the soft. We can see there on the left hand side, Dragon currently on his outlap, Rayner in the pit lane still, but he looks like he's going to be fitting the harder tyres for him. So we're on board with Toon Fan as he comes around turn 16 then to set the first time of Q2 here for FNR Silver at Catalunya. 19.0. I don't expect to sort of see those sort of times in this session, but certainly I'd expect a bit of improvement from them going into Q3. So as Toon comes around turn 3 then up the hill towards Repsol, stay nice and wide on that exit as you fight the G-force in the cockpit, keeping the car nice and left for the exit entry to Repsol. Sorry, nice and wide as always on the exit. How much of the curbs does Toon take? He stays a little bit too far away from it, but still a nice line for turn 5. Turn 6 is this nice sort of flat out kink on your left hand side as you approach turn 7 up the hill. We saw LH in the wall after taking a little bit too much of the curb, putting the throttle down too early, and he ended up in the wall. Up through the hill then at turn 9. Oh, it's very wide from Toon, and Toon's in the wall, and Toon is out of this race. So Toon will not take part in qualifying. He is out. He has lost it at turn 9 on the hill, and his front wheel, you could see that would bring a safety car in the race, but unfortunately the game is not realistic in that sense as it requires it. We see a little bit of a lock-up on the right front there from Jason as he come in through turn 15. He's opted for the softer compound just to try and, I think, get into that Q3 session. So he comes around the final corner now. What times this could be? 1:20.8. So good lap time from Jason as his teammate goes a little bit slower on those softs. So 1:21.3. Devil's Nightmare 1:21.9. So as Regan goes into the 1:19s on those mediums, though 1:19.8 So there we have it, a few drivers already setting times. Dragon on speed on those harder compounds splits the Red Bulls 121.0 on those hards. Remember, he did spin, so a little bit of life would have been lost out of those tyres, but still a good lap from the Alfa Romeo driver nonetheless. You can see Tristan on a lap, on his flying lap now up through turn 9. Apex goes fastest, 1:19.828, so just 700ths faster. Coming up through, taking that bollard out then on the left hand side. How's he approach turn 11? Gavlar up into P3 in the Williams, 120.4. Stead 120 flat for P3. As Tristan backs out of his lap. I do apologise, I just got a message about internet quality for the stream. Jack backing Alex for the win then. So we see Tristan starting his lap time. Stee out on an out lap. And what about Rayner? Oh, is that guy Alex is round. He's round at turn 1. So another driver to lose it at turn... at the first chicane, sorry. You can see there on the right hand side of turn 2. I do apologise. So he will need to come back round. I hope those tyres cool down a little bit. Looking to improve on his qualifying from last. Remember, he did start P20 last week, but he did finish on the top step. So overall, it was a good race from him. We got yellow flags out in sector 3 once again. On board with Rain as he comes round to set his that time. A little bit of traffic just ahead of him as he comes through 14 and 15. And onto that final straight. What sort of time will this be from the Mercedes man? He crosses the line and it is a 1:20.4. But look at that difference between the harder compound tyres and your pole time. It's about 6/10. So if he was to go for the mediums, he could possibly think about getting towards the top of the timesheets for this session. We can see Toonfan there drops out of the top 10. He has crashed going into the wall coming out of turn 9. As Tristan goes into P5 then. So on those 2 lap old mediums are 1:20.3, good enough to put him into the top 10 as it stands. Two drivers still yet to set lap times. One of those is Alex and the other is Nathan. He's currently just come out of turn 8 into turn 9 now. Nice and clean through that corner. The Williams pulls aside on the left hand side. He comes through into turn 10. Up through that curb then at turn 11. A little bit wide on 12 with that line, but gets the car rotated nicely into the braking zone for 13. See second gear on that steering wheel, how much you have to rotate that steering wheel to just get the car in the direction you want it to go. And where does Nathan go on those meters? He's fastest in a 1:19.808, just 200ths faster than Apex, with 7.5 minutes got to go in this session then. Already we can see those medium compounds seem to be the tyres of choice. A 1:19.8 from the McLaren driver puts him on provisional pole for this session and into Q3. So Alex coming through the final corner then, opting for first gear though through that first turn 14. He crosses the line. Where will this be for Alex? So that's even faster, 1:19.5, so he's 0.3 faster than Nathan. Both of them on those medium tyres. That might see Alex through into Q3, but we just have to wait and see with the last remaining minutes of the session. Toonfan out then as he hit the wall at turn 9. LH did make it through to Q2, but he hit the wall at turn 7, so he will not be taking part and has not been taking part in this session. That means there are 2 or 3 drivers still at risk. They are Steve, Nismo and Devil's Nightmare, currently occupying 11th, 12th and 13th respectively. But they're all within a few tenths of Dragon. That 1:21.0 set on that harder compound tyre. He's coming out on a set of mediums this time though. Jason, the only driver to go for softs of 1:20.8, has him in P9. So watch those sort of drivers as these minutes tick down then. As we're hearing that Toon got a lot of understeer in the pits. Ted is in my ear saying that as he come out of turn 9, the understeer took him into the wall. So as we see Devil's Nightmare opting possibly for a lap on those soft duck compound tyres. We can see the Red Bull mechanics getting ready to bring in Nismo there. So Dragon on Speed then, the only driver currently out on track. I expect Alex to pit in a few seconds time, so it'll be a clean track for the Alfa Romeo driver. So here we go then, on board with Dragon on Speed as we come through turn 14 and 15 into the final corner of this 2.6 kilometre circuit. 5 minutes just about left in this session. Up through turn 3, then you stay nice and tight on that right hand side, but then you open up on the exit using a little bit of that green tarmac on the left hand side in the approach to Repsol, braking about 150 metres out depending on your sort of brake bias and things like, oh, but the back end sticks out there for the Alfa Romeo driver, and he looks like he's backed off as we come through turn 5. So he's currently in P10 and looks like he'll need to go round again. The only other driver currently on track on an outlap is Jason Woodhouse, but you can see there on the mini map we've got a Mercedes, that is Rayner. He's opting for the mediums this time, he's coming out again, but Nismo's going for these softs just behind him, so look out for them two. As Jason comes through turn 7 now. You see there, Dragon 10 seconds up on his best time so far. Will he go round again with just 4 minutes left in this session? Those drivers at risk, as I said, Steve, Nismo and Devils, they occupy the 3 elimination places left. But Dragon and Jason in the sort of danger zone for drivers who have avoided them for now. So Dragon goes around again then, currently a 1:21.052 his lap time, but they were on a hard compound tyre. This is the mediums he is now running. He comes out now towards Repsol. What's his sector time? So he's 2/10 up on his best time so far. We've got a Ferrari round there, that's Devil's Nightmare. You can see he's gone round on his outlap and finds himself gone facing the wrong way at Repsol as Dragon comes round turn 7 and 8, and this was where LH lost it earlier, one of the big danger zones for getting it wrong. Also turn 9, oh, and there goes the Alfa Romeo of Dragon on Speed. I believe he caught part of the wall on the exit, but I'm a little bit sort of at loss as to what happened there. He didn't hit the wall. Did not hit the wall, I don't think. We shall see. He's currently in P10 though, and I don't know if he'll have enough time to get around. But we're on board with Jason, who's 10 seconds down on his best time, so not working out well for him. What about his teammate just behind? As he comes up through turn 11 now, through the sweeping right of turn 12. Into the final chicane then, on board with Nismo as he comes across the line. If you're not out now, I don't think you'll really be able to get a lap time in. So you see the top 5 almost thinking there through. Where's Nismo gone? He's gone in at P6 and off that soft compound tyre though. So his first stint will be shorter than the rest if he does indeed make it through into Q3. That drops Jason into P10. He's boxed and I don't think he'll have enough time to come back out. Dragon is in the box. He won't have enough time to come out. But Steve and Nightmare, they are currently out then as Steve starts to wind up his Haas for his second attempt in this session. He's gone for another. So Devil's Nightmare retires then. So Devil's Nightmare has lost it, and by the mini map it looks like he's lost it where his teammate did. So it looks like he has gone off at turn 9 at the top of the hill. We're right on board with Nismo. Look to your right hand side, and there it is. There indeed is a stricken Ferrari of Devil's Nightmare. He has gone then. So Tristan opting to retire. Nathan opting to retire as well. They think they've done enough to make it through to Q3. Rayner, though, on a flying lap now, believes that he as he tries to make it into the final qualifying session. He's currently in P9 then from his harder compound time. He's 7/10 up though in sector 2. All the lucky 7s there has come up through turn 11 and 12. Coming through the final few corners now then, on board with Rayner, currently in P9. Goes up to pole position in a 1:19.4. That will put him safely into the next qualifying session. Stee then looking to come around the final few corners for his lap time in this Q2 session. We've got 4 seconds left, so currently Devil's Nightmare and Toon both crashing. They are gone. Dragon and Speed is out then. I did say he wouldn't have enough time, so it's just left to Stee. Who will be gone? Will it be Dragon and Jason or Dragon and Stee? It is Dragon and Stee. So not quick enough for the Hash driver. You can see there he's 19 seconds down. Would have made a mistake by the looks of things, and he is out. So there we have it. Jason makes it into Q3 then. What a drive from the Red Bull car. He made Q2 for the first time last week. He's in Q3 this week. Unfortunately, we have lost Dragon though. Spun at turn 9 on his final flying lap in this session. Didn't have enough time to come back out from the pit lane. We on board with Stee as he crossed the line. He made a mistake and was unable to improve on a 1:21.3. But Devils and Toon, both Ferraris, losing it then coming out of turn 9. Rayner setting the pace for Q2. The only 2 drivers that will start on the soft tyres will be Nismo and Jason. For them, it will be a case of going in earlier than those cars around them and hoping that the harder compound tyre or the medium compound tyre will be able to get them to the end of the race and in front of everybody else. So as we approach Q3, then there'll be 12 minutes to get your car as high up the grid as you can. Rayner setting the pace in Q2. It was Stead who set the pace in Q1. That was a 1:19.084 on the softer compound tyres. I expect that to be beaten, maybe a 1:18.5 or 1:18.6, sort of a good pole time for this. If you can get in the low 1:18s, that would be even better. As we see the last few cars then coming into their pit boxes as we're about to start Q3. So there is the confirmation of the drivers that will be making their laps, try and get that will be attempting laps to put themselves on pole position. Rayner, Alex, Nathan, the top 3, Apex, Regan and Stead, the next 3. Nismo, the first driver on soft, his teammate in 10th. In between them is Gavlar and Tristan. They are on the medium compound, so it'll be interesting to see the strategy from the Red Bull garage. Who pits first, who pits second? Will they both go 1 stop or will they try a 2 stop? That remains to be seen. So Dragon, Stee, Devils and Toon unfortunately not in the next session. Devils and Toon both losing it. They join LH in, unfortunate in crashing in the qualifying phase of this season finale here at Catalunya for FNR Silver. Remember, your championship was confirmed a few races ago. That was Alex in the Racing Point. He'll be looking to go out on a high then, but behind him Rayner and Nathan look quick. So does Regan, the Alfa Romeo of Stead, one to always watch out for. Bit of a dark horse almost. Gavlar, a few good podiums in recent races across RRC, and Here we go then, 12 minutes. You see the Mercedes garage of Rayner getting ready. He's out already, but there is a racing point just ahead of him. That is Tristan. So Tristan opting for the early charge, trying to get that racing point towards the top end of the starting grid. His teammate there just coming out now, Alex, behind the gaggle of cars that is led by Rayner, then Stead, and the two Toro Rossos, one behind another. A little bit of colour coordination going on there with the green helmets for the two Toro Rosso drivers. So we can already see 8 of the 10 drivers opting to go out now. Nathan makes that 9. What about Jason? As he remains in the pit lane. So 10 minutes and 43 seconds to decide who will be on pole for the season finale here in Catalunya. That'll be a nice 36 laps ahead of us, but who will look to lead following the first one? As we see now, Tristan looks to get those tyres ready and those brakes warm for this first run in Q3. The traditional strategy tending to be you go very early and very late. Track evolution can then kick in and you don't take too much life out of the softs. So here we go, Tristan comes down in towards turn 1. This massive log straight will be great for overtaking in the race, but we're not quite there yet. He comes nice and tight on the apex of turn 1 and turn 2. Opens up wide for the entry to turn 3 then. Nice wide line. You see that aero kicks in a little bit on the sort of turn on the entry to Repsol. Most of the apexes here at Catalunya are a little bit wider than you'd expect at some of the tracks. We've already got a yellow flag in sector 3. That is, I believe, the McLaren of Nathan getting ready to start his lap time. Jason has now left the pit, so all cars are out on track ready to set a lap time. Tristan is the first of those. He comes round turn 9 then. What sort of sector time will this be? I don't know because I haven't got the telemetry on. I do apologise, everybody. About the 55-second mark by the looks of things. It comes around now. The final few corners into turn 13. Open R for 14 and 15. The nice 180 degree rotation almost on the steering wheel as you come around the final few corners. Put the power down then for the long winding straight. It's a 120.0 for Tristan, so not a bad lap time, but I expect there will be a few cars going faster, and Tristan himself on his second lap with that sort of fresh tyres and track evolution coming into play. What about the two Mercedes there coming round? So the Mercedes and the Toro Rosso. Rayner 119.3, Regan 119.2. So that little toe possibly giving Regan a bit of speed. Alex 119.4, Gavlar 119.8. So there is your top 5. Apex goes into P4 119.4. Just 4 hundredths faster. Stead on pole then 118.6. He was quick in the first session on the softs. He's even quicker now on these tyres. A 118.6, just a little bit too slow compared to that Q1 time, which is 118.086. So Nismo goes into P8 128.3. We wait on Jason and Nathan, who have both invalidated their lap time, so they will need to go around again. We go then on board with Nathan as Jason pits then. So Jason opting to not set a lap time on those 1 lap old softs. He's going to box and come out again on a fresh set. You can see holding the throttle a little bit there as you get that car into the entry point for turn 3. Keeping it nice and wide on the entry to Repsol before coming tight, and so it'll open out a little bit wider through the exit of the corner. Getting that car broken and rotated nicely through turn 5 from the McLaren driver there, using a bit of that curb on the right hand side. Down the chicane through turn 7 and 8. Almost a little bit of a straight line through that turn 8 kink on the right hand side. Oh, Nathan, a little bit of a kick out there through turn 9, but he managed to keep the McLaren facing the right way. He comes up into turn 10. It's a 51.8, so just a few hundredths off the fastest sector time so far, but you can see there a little bit of playing with the steering wheel as he gets the throttle a little bit wrong on the exit, shifts it through 4th gear into turn 13, braking using 4th and 3rd gear then as you come through this chicane down into 2nd. before you open that throttle up, run a little bit wider on the left hand side. You can see allows you to keep the throttle down nice and powerful for this straight, and it's a 1:18.8 for Nathan. And so a few little kicks off from the rear, but he goes P2. That just leaves Jason in P10, the only driver yet to set a lap time, but you can see there he is now going out to set that time. So here we go then, Jason out for his out lap. What sort of time will this be? We're hearing that Alex is driving without assist for the first time then. So using this as an experience to try and improve his skills at the game. You can see a couple of the drivers opting for just one lap on those softs, so an out lap, and in that gives you 3 laps of tyre wear. Remember, these don't matter though, because they will be given back and you'll be starting on your Q2 tyres, but you do take a set through to the race as a spare set. You can see Jason flicking his car right and left, weaving to get heat into those tyres, looking for about 90 odd degrees in your front and 90 odd in the rears as well, so that your braking zones are nice and clean. So as we approach the sub 5 minute mark in this session, we currently have Stead on provisional pole 1, 18.6. He leads Nathan by 2/10. Those are the only 2 drivers sub 1:19, but I expect there'll be a few others in that sort of range by the end of these session. So here we go, on board with Jason for his flying lap here at Catalunya in the season finale of FNR. Staying nice and wide for the entry into turn 1. Keeping the car a little bit on the curb. Oh, but he's touched that left-hand curb. That's the one in the first chicane you've got to watch out for. If you take too much of that and put the throttle down, you will spin. I've experienced that myself, unfortunately, in MNR. But enough about that. See, nice and tight on the exit there to the curb. Allows you to come wide for the entry apex of turn thing. But a big lock up on the left-hand side from Jason means he's lost a few tenths there as we come up towards turn 7. Dabbing a little bit of throttle to make sure that car stays going in the right direction up through turn 9. Oh, and you could see there that the rear end did not like that, and the little lock up on the front means he has to back out of that lap. But with just 3 minutes and 45 seconds left, I don't know if he's got enough time to get around. What can Arena do? Currently in P4 as he's on his second flying lap in this session. Hitting 7th gear on the approach to the corner. How does he tackle turn 9? Gives a nice tight line there, almost a gradual curve with the car and the aero down into the braking zone for turn 10. The Mercedes driver, one of the more successful drivers in this season. Quite a lot of race wins, podiums and fastest laps for Rayner as we move on in towards season 2 in July. He gets that car nicely rotated through 14 and 15 on the decides to box. So obviously he didn't think that lap was good enough, and with just a few minutes left he's opting for the pit lane. Interesting choice from there, but you can already see a lot of the drivers now starting to think about our laps. Nathan is out, Gav is out. Where will they be come the end of this, as Gavlar is about to start his flying lap then. Currently in P8 to 1:19.8. He's only a few tenths off those drivers in front of him, but he's almost a full second off of Stead and Nathan. And there's a racing point just in front of him. That is Alex. He will hopefully get out of the way. Gav is a tenth slower than on that first sector, but here hopefully getting a little bit of a tow from the racing point. Up through turn 7 and 8 with just a minute and 42 seconds left. Stead is on pole 1:18.6, has him 2 tenths ahead of Nathan. Regan and Rayner are currently occupying that second row. Alex and Apex on row 3. Tristan and Gav, who we're on board with as he comes through turn 12. Row 4 and the 2 Red Bulls round out the top 10. But we've got a minute and 20 seconds left, so anything can happen in these next couple of laps from the drivers. Rayner, the only man in the pit lane, won't have enough time, unfortunately, to come out again, so he will be no higher than P4. Gavlar only improves on his time, and he does not improve on position. He stays in P8. Alex behind him on his lap then, looking to get higher than P5. Already at least 15 positions higher, were it to stay the same than he did last week when he went out in Q1. As a Red Bull crosses the line, that is Nismo. Oh, he stays in at P9. His teammate about to come and start his lap. That's a Red Bull. You can Toro Rosso. You can see there in the foreground of that picture. I think that is Apex. No, that was Regan. I do apologise. Right, we're on board with now. He starts his lap then. All drivers bar Rayner with 15 seconds to go are on their time laps. Stead is the driver on pole. Nathan, his closest challenger in P2, is 2 seconds down on his best time though. I don't think he can improve, and no, he boxed P2 as the black and white checkered flag falls on this session. Will we see an improvement? There's a Williams coming around. That is Gav. He goes up to P7. Just behind him, there's a racing point. That is Alex. He only goes up to P3. 118.8 for him. He's sub 119, but it's not good enough. What about the Red Bulls as they come around then? Jason at turn 12, yet to set a lap time in this session. His teammate Nismo dives into the pit and he will start from no higher than P9. Only Jason can beat him. What about the Toro Rossos? They're just in front. Apex coming around the final corner now. He's currently in P6, but he puts a better lap time in. No, he doesn't. He is just 200th back then. So he will start in P6. What can Tristan do? And what can Regan do? Regan comes across the line now. It's P4 for Regan. Can Tristan improve on P8? He goes P7, so he swaps back with Gavlar. And there we have it. Stead will be on pole for this season finale. 118.6 has his Alfa Romeo sitting at the front. Nathan, after backing out of that second lap, will start alongside him in P2. Alex, your champion from this year, will start in P3. It's a very nice qualifying session there from the drivers. Regan is split by his teammate with Rayner in between in at P5. Apex then P6. Tristan and Gavlar row 4, and Nismo and Jason in the Red Bulls take up the final places in this top 10 shootout. There you have it. Stead will start on pole for the 36 lap race. Who's your money on at home? I couldn't pick. You can see there the gap between the top 3, just 2/10, all in the 118s. As most of these drivers, bar Jason and Nismo, will be starting on the medium comp tyres. The strategy is set as we're about to go into the formation lap for this 36 lap race here at the Circuit de Catalunya and the finale of FNR Silver Division. Remember, your driver's champion for this year has been confirmed. That is Alex. Your constructors champion across both divisions is the Mercedes. So this last race is all about pride. There's still a few positions to be announced. P2 and 3 still up for grabs. The real DC, one of those drivers in that fight, he's in the gold division tonight. So that means that there will be one less car battling for that position. As we just wait now for the start of the formation lap. You can see there the starting grid for this race and the tyres that they will be on. The top 8 also opting for the mediums and the softs on board the Red Bulls following their qualifying lap. So here we go then. Strategies are being set for the race. When will they pit? When will they decide to go onto the other compound? Stead at the front of this grid alongside Nathan in the McLaren. Alex joins Regan on the second row. Rayner splits the Toro Rosso's apex next to him on the right hand side. You can see there how they're weaving down this straight. That's all about getting hit into your tyres and your brakes for that all important braking zone at turn 1. So just a run through of the grid then. Stead was on pole, that 118.6, enough to see him take top spot. Nathan, despite backing out of his second lap, is in P2. Alex is third. Regan, Rayner and Apex 4, 5 and 6. Tristan and Gavlar 7 and 8, and the Red Bulls 9 and 10. Dragon, unfortunate to hit and lose his front wing in Q2. We're hearing a little bit of a glitch in the system there. Stee in P12 for the Haas. The Devil's Nightmares of Toon and Devil's Nightmare 13th and 14th. They had the magnanimity of crashing out, one at turn 9 at the start of Q2 and one at the end of Q2. LH, after crashing in Q1, starts in P15. He's opted for the medium compounds in. It's Puppy, Siren, Mono and the Williams of Benny Boy is in the garage. Connectivity issues means he will not be taking part in this race, unfortunately. As we see a Ferrari there at the side. So that is Devil's Nightmare and Steve. They have collided on the formation lap, and that means they will not be able to get the heat into those tyres then. Interesting to see the strategies then. So the top 8 all on those medium compound tyres, looking at possibly a one-stop medium to hard end for the race. Nismo and Jason obviously using the softer compound at the start of Q2 and end of Q2 means that they'll have to go on a shorter first stint, possibly look at one stop onto the hards or a 2-stop with either medium or medium soft. It'd be interesting to see what they have gone for. But looking down at the rest of the grid, all the drivers opting for mediums apart from Toon. So Toon looking to gain those positions early off the grid, starting in P14, try and push his way up through the field, and then hoping that his stops allow him to finish as high up as he can. So here we go then. The lights come on for this season finale here in NFI. Benny Boy in the garage, and he will not be taking part in this race. Here they go then. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 red lights, and we are racing then here in Catalunya for the season finale of FNR. You can already see the amount of wheel spin. Regan and Rayner up into P3. They've jumped Alex, who runs side by side with his teammate in the run down to Tillman, and Nathan is into the lead then. He takes the first corner at the front of this pack. We see cars almost 2 and 3 abreast at the back of this pack. Looks like they've all got through safely. You can see there, no cars are off. That's great start, Regan and Rayner, but yellow flags now. That's Apex. So the Toro Rosso of Apex has gone round. He is in the wall at turn 2 and 3. Bad start for him. Nathan then, what a great start. He takes the lead of this race. Stead behind him, and the safety car is out. That spin from Apex has caused a safety car after just 3 corners. I'm not quite sure what happened, but he went round and was in the wheel. We see a few time penalties being given for collisions under the safety car. So where do the drivers go now? We can see Dragon on speed. Another driver. He is down in P17. Not a bad start for him. You can see his front wing missing there. He has had contact and will need to pit to replace that. And we can see there the front wing is the same situation for the Toro Rosso of Apex. So Apex started P5. He's down in P18. Dragon started P11. He's down into P17. So what about the early movers then? We can see Nathan jumping Stead into the first corner. Rayner's up 2 positions. Biggest mover, Stee there in the top 7. But LH up into 9th on the alternate strategy on those medium tyres. He has had a great start. So the safety car out after a spin involving Apex or Dragon. I'm not sure which one it was, but that has brought out the safety car, and you can see that's currently at turn 3. So we've got a long while to these drivers catch up to that. And already Jason, Tristan and a few others in the pit lane. I wonder whether they'll be opting for the harder compound. It's Jason on the softs, going for the mediums by the looks of things. The mediums on mono. Dragon after replacing that wing. What will he go for? It looks like he can go for the hard. There we have it then. So it is the hard compounds for Dragon on speed. What about Jason? You can see there, white walled hard has Toon is given a 3-second time penalty then. Tristan opting for mediums. So we'll still have to pit again to put another set of tyres on, but only on lap 2 of 33 in this race so far. Puppy opting for another pit stop then. He's gone for mediums, Apex on the hards and Dragon on the hards too. So what a start for Nathan in the McLaren, then takes the lead of the Grand Prix. He leads your pole sitter Stead, Rayner and Regan up into 3 and 4. So lap 2 of 33 and the safety car is out. Time to check in with the gold division, where we have seen Brandon confirmed as champion. Unfortunately, Elliot unable to race tonight means that Brandon cannot be caught and he will win the title for FNR Gold. So already this race has 2 champions, but we want to go out on a high here at RRC. We've got a race tomorrow in the Saturday night racing and a classics race on Sunday. It's still yet to come. Watch out though, it's not the end for this lot of drivers. We start lap 3 of 33 behind the safety car, and we've got Rain then in the gold division race there on lap 2, and Denge leads Indigo and GFO Seb. Brandon the champion down in P19. I'm not sure what's gone on there. They have got rain though, so interesting how it's played out for them. You can see they're starting lap 3 now. The gap's ever closing, but they've got no DRS in that race because of the rain. That means that the key overtaking zones out of turn 16 on that long straight towards turn 1 and the second DRS zone out of turn 9 are almost invalid in this. Shout out William van der Shores moves up into P4 then. He's overtaken Owen Ollie into the top 2 grid slots as Jason's given a 5-second penalty. Then Toon has DNF'd. So Toon is out of this Grand Prix. I'm not sure what's happened there, but Toon is out. He has retired. What has happened there? So very unfortunate for Toon, and he is out. As safety car will be in this lap then. Lap 3 of 33 means we'll have 29 laps of racing still to go. Nathan, we can see him warming up those medium compound tyres as we come round the final few corners. Give it a little bit of space for that safety car. Remember, it's the last little chicane at 14 and 15. Means if you put the power down now, you will eventually catch the safety car. Watch him put the foot to the floor around about turn 16. Then you can see them backing up the pack and the Ferrari moving up in the background. That's Devil's Nightmare. You can see now, when does he put his foot to the floor? He goes now, by the looks of things, he's up into get a little bit of a kick out on the exit, but a great restart there. He's pulled out 6/10 on Stead behind him. Rayner all over the gearbox of the Alfa Romeo, using that toe to his advantage. Will he be able to make a move in the run down to turn 1? Just a little bit too far this time. Remember, DRS is disabled for 2 laps after the safety car, so that will not come into play till about lap 6. We've got yellow flags in sector 1 then. Who's that has gone round? It looks like it's Jason. So after pinning on that lap, he is round again. He's down into P17. And Alex. So Alex is round as well. Alex and Devils. There's been an incident at the first corner of the restart, and we've got 3 cars all round at turns 2 and 3. So what a bad restart that was for Alex. Was running in at P5. He's now at the back of the field. Devils down from 10th to 17th. But Nathan pulling out a 7/10 gap to the car behind him. Rayner all over the gearbox of Stead. As we see there, Cyro is out. So what's happened to Cyro? He's gone. It looks like he's lost it up the hill. Turn 7, yes, on the left hand side. You can see his car is in the wall. So he is our second retirement of this session then. Nathan leads by just under a second. Very good restart from the McLaren driver. But he loses a little bit of that back end grip there through turn 16, through turn 15, sorry. Sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:23.9 then. Yellow flags out once more. That looks like it's Devil's Nightmare. He's gone wide at turn 11. He's in the wall, and we will have another safety car. So lap 5 of 33, and we've already seen 2 safety cars. Jason's given another 5-second penalty, this time for speeding in the pit lane. Alex opting to pit as well after going wide on the safety car restart at turns 1 and 2. Not quite sure where he went wide, but he was spinning at turn 3 when we jumped on board with him. So here we are then, lap 5 of 33 at the finale of FNR Silver. We've already lost 3 cars, Toon, Syro and Devils, all crashing into the wall at different areas. I'm not quite sure where Toon lost it, but we know Devils lost it at turn 11, which has caused a safety car, and Syro spun it out of turn 7. You can see through the grid a few drivers having to make early pit stops due to contact. Those include Apex, Tristan and Puppy. Dragon, another one involved in that. The strategy for Dragon and Apex was to go onto the harder compound tyres. I don't know if they'll be able to take him to the end of the race, but we shall see. Spain, one of the drivers. So Nathan opting to pit then. The race leader dives into the pit lane. Rayner takes second place and Stead then leads. So lap 6 we have a new leader. Stead caught at the first corner by the McLaren, regains the lead. As we see a few more drivers pitting, so Nismo joined Nathan in the pit lane. Nathan opting for the softer tyres, possibly looking to get a few laps in before coming back in again for a medium compound set, but Nismo has ditched his softness now on the medium compound as well. Got a fan of Apex in the chat, welcome along Shell. Yeah, very unfortunate for Apex. He was caught up in that first lap, instant had to pit for a new front wing, but he's got up to P8 once more. He is currently on the harder compound tyres, probably have to pit again towards the end of the race, but camping a lot later than those in front of him, on those being Tristan. So the top 6 yet to pit in this lap. They are currently Stead, Rayner, Regan, Gav. Supersteve's had a blinding first opening laps. He is up to P5 from P12, but he's just been given a 5-second penalty. Talk about commentator's curse. That might require a pit stop for a new front wing. We shall see. Looks like he's got away with that fine. The Williams in front of him. You can see LH, massive gains from him in his opening laps. He's gone from P15 after that crash in Q1. He's now in P6. And then the first driver who has pitted is Tristan in P7. Nathan coming out in P12 then on those fresh softs. He'll be quick off the restart, but does need to pit again then. Jason already in twice this lap. Had a brilliant qualifying, started P10, but unfortunately in the race has struggled a little bit, and he is P14, and your championship leader, that guy Alex, after the contact on the safety car restart, is in P15. So expect about one more lap under this safety car that is out following a crash from either Devils or Syro. I'm not sure which one brought it out, but Devils lost it at turn 11, Syro lost it at turn 7. Second safety car of the day following contact that saw Apex in the wall. He was caught out on the first couple of corners, and that brought out the first safety car on lap 1. So don't look too much into the gaps at the moment. I mean, Stead leading Rayner, but that is obviously behind the pace control of the safety car. Be interesting to see where Stead puts his foot to the floor. We saw Nathan do it last time. Obviously he's pitted, so Stead has control of this pack for the moment. And once the safety car goes in, just remember there's that chicane of 14 and 15. You don't have too much speed going into there, because you could have a poor exit and that'll really give away the advantage that you have from being the lead car on a safety car restart. However, there is the downside to the massive long straight on this restart, that if there's cars right behind you, they will gain a massive tow. Remember, DRS still not available to the drivers at the moment. There will be a little bit of a lull. That'll be lap 9 or lap 10, I think it comes out actually. As we start lap 8, then we will be no longer behind the safety car. It's in this lap. You can see the lights off, and Stead starts to back this pack up a little bit, getting a little bit of warmth into the tyres by weaving left to right. The Alfa Romeo driver, see, giving a bit of space between himself and that safety car. Where does he put the foot to the floor? It was coming out of turn 16 that we saw Nathan do it just a few laps ago. So we go then into the final few corners. You can see the pack starting to bunch up a little bit more. Gap 8 tenths. Oh no, Stead, he's gone too hard. Oh, what a bad restart from the Alfa Romeo driver, and Reina takes the lead of this race. And you can see in the background Stead down, dropping into P11 behind his teammate. How unfortunate, he lost it too much on the throttle. That lack of traction costing him out the final corner. He spins, and Reina takes the lead of this race then. Started P5 and is up into the podiums, but better than that, he's on for the top step if it stays the same for these next 20 odd laps. Regan up into P2. Gavlar once again up, fighting for that podium. He's in P3. Steve, blinding start. He's up into 4. The other car in a blinding start. LH right behind him in P5. Tristan, after pitting, is P6. Apex on the harder compound tyres though in P7. Look out for him. Stead already past Dragon. So what's happened to Dragon? Looks like Dragon's gone around or lost a couple of positions. Who's that diving down the inside? That's Nismo taking a look into 7, but he thinks better of it then. This little battle for what is P8. Mono leads this little train. Puppy just behind him as they all come through turn 9, and there's a Renault in the wall. There's Puppy, and there's a Red Bull. That's Jason. Oh dear. So Puppy lost it going out of turn 9. You saw his Renault spinning as we switch the camera angle. He hit the wall, and Jason had nowhere to go and ran into the side of that Renault car. They are out. We've already lost 5 cars then, and we're just 8 laps into this Grand Prix. Turn 9, causing the retirement of 3 of those cars. And we can see Reina and Regan setting fastest laps, trading fastest laps even. The gap just 8 tenths. No DRS, remember, until lap 10. The following 2 laps after the safety car restart. So Nathan on those harder tyres, currently in P10, sorry, on the softer tyres, opting to pit behind the safety car. See his teammate in front of him, just 2 tenths. And Stead, after spinning on that restart, he's down and back up into P8 from P11, I think it was, when he finally got going again. Nathan down the inside of Mono then through Repsol. Nice move there on his teammate as they come down into turn 5. Oh no, very unfortunate for you, Jason. You had nowhere to go, unfortunately, coming out of turn 9. And that's just pure baker. But what a great qualifying session you had. So there are positives to take from this, Jason. Coming through turn 9 now, we're watching this battle for P8. Stead spun at the safety car restart. Nathan on after pitting from the lead on those softer compound tyres. LH makes some moves on Super Steve then. He goes down the inside at turn 12. Gets that move done. Tristan is also past Steve, so not a bad, good few corners for Steve. You can see very bad line through those corners. Regan goes fastest lap of the race. What about this battle for P8? Nathan drops a little bit behind us. DRS is enabled. Then we start lap 10 and we see DRS. Look out for Regan. He's 3 tenths behind Reina, both on the same compounded tyre, both on the same age tyres. So it'll be interesting to see who can pull away from who. You can see 2 tenths there from Reina through those first sequence of corners, but Regan looks like he might have DRS out of turn 9 for the first time in this race. Gavlar holding off LH currently for P3. He's 1.4 behind Regan, and he's got 1.5 to LH. Tristan then, the first of those that have pitted in at P5. He would take what is net first if he can keep up with this group of 4. You can see in the background there, he's coming around turn 7 as this lot are coming up to the corner. So Regan will have DRS in the run up to turn 10, but he is not close enough. The gap wants to be ideally about 2 or 3 tenths for the DRS to have a massive sort of performance. This is Nathan's up past Stead then. I think that's in the DRS zones. can see in the background there, 2 cars going side by side. That is Dragon and Alex looks down the inside then of the Alfa Romeo driver, and they do well to get through that corner together, and he gets the move done on the exit. So he's up into P11 and chasing points following that first safety car restart where he spun. What about Regan? Can he make a gap in this? LH just the fast lap of the race, a 1:22.8. Looks like Regan's just a little bit too far back. Still, Reina doing well to keep that Mercedes planted in front of the Toro Rosso, getting to stare at his gearbox. They've dropped Gav though by a few tenths. That DRS really coming in handy for Regan. LH all over the back of Gav now. Just 5 tenths gained, almost a second in the second half of that first lap. They're dropping Tristan. He's a further 2.5 seconds back. So these Gaggle at the front starting to pull away now as we come through reps. So we're riding on board this battle for the final podium spot. LH started 15th, is now in 4th. Gavlar is there in P3, and you can see just ahead of them was the fight for the lead. That is Reina and Regan as they come in towards the second DRS. And here on lap 11 of 33, we're a third of the way through this Grand Prix. Both cars coming through turn 9 very wide on the exit, but Regan unable to make most of that DRS. He stays behind Reina, but needs to keep his car close through this final sector to be able to make a move on the first straight. We've got yellow flags in, and it looks like Apex is round again. So Apex is around at turn 9. He's lost it at the hill, and this is another driver. So he spun earlier in the race, and he's spun again now. Drops down to P13, and probably will have to pit again if he's got front wing damage. I wasn't too sure, couldn't see from the camera angles. But what about Regan? He's 4 tenths behind then as he opens DRS. You can see him gaining there. It's almost 200 miles an hour down the straight. He's going to pull to the right any second now, and he just can't pull it enough. But LH is past Gavlar, so there was a move made, and that was LH through on Gavlar. Nathan on the soft gets past. Steve moves up into the top 6. Remember, he has pitted. And so both get that move done. That drops Steve into P7. So this battle for the lead then is between Reina and Regan. LH a further 2 seconds back. He took that place from Gavlar just a few moments ago. You saw him down the inside of turn 1 using DRS to his advantage. These cars all a little bit close now, but their gaps starting to form at the back of the pack between the other cars. From about 5th down, you're looking at a 2-second gap between Tristan and Nathan, and then within a second down the field, 2 seconds to Steve, a second to Stead. So no DRS there, but you can see Stead has got a gap down below a second, so that'll be good for him as they approach DRS. Regan once again not able to use the DRS out of turn 9. He's getting ever closer though. It looks like Mono has gone wide then, so Mono drops down to P13. He's made a mistake and a drop behind Apex and Alex. Let's come around the final corner now. We're right on board with Regan as DRS opens the gap. Still 4 tenths though. LH closing massively, 5 tenths that previous lap, trying to catch Regan and join his teammate on the podium, but this time instead of being on third, he's looking to maybe get second. So we see there just in the foreground of the picture, that is the battle for the lead. LH has managed to pull a second to Gavlar behind. Remember, Gavlar started on a set of used mediums after making Q3. LH had fresh mediums after crashing in Q1. What about Nathan? He's on those soft. You can see just ahead of him is Tristan. That gap is 1.6 seconds. Come through turn 5 now, looking to use those soft tyres. 7 laps old now. He had 2 or 3 laps behind the safety car, remember, but they've maybe got only a lap or 2 left in before they have to go. Who's that? That's spinning. That looks like Regan has lost the place to LH. He's lost the rear end, and LH moves up into P2 then. That's put Gavlar all over the back of the Toro Rosso. That gap just half a second. Reina now has clean air and no car trailing him. The closest car is LH, 2.5 seconds. 2 tenths out of those few corners though from his teammate. Will that gap be closer as we start lap 14 of this Grand Prix? Reina dives into the pit lane. He's gone as far as he can on those mediums, is what he thinks, as LH takes the lead then. So from 15th to 1st in 15 laps. You can see there, nice camera angles. Reina fits the harder compound. That puts Nathan and Tristan onto the podium then. Nathan has pitted, but will need to pit again. Tristan looking to take those mediums as far as he can. Others into the pits: Gavlar, Regan, Stead and Stee. A lot of harder compounds going on these cars. Stead there, you can see, fitting the hardest. He did spin, remember, and those mediums have a little bit more life, but he's managed to get back into the points before pitting in. That puts Apex back into the top 10. Regan and Alex trail Rayner. Dragon on speed in 5th. Nismo up to 4th. Nathan, Tristan and LH fill out the podium spots. So where does LH take the gamble and pit? We're almost halfway through this race distance. It's a purple sector 2 from the Mercedes driver, so looks like he's got a lot more life left in those tyres yet. We've lost 5 drivers in this race, sorry 6. That's Jason and Puppy involved in an accident at turn 9. Jason had nowhere to go as he hit the stricken Renault. Devils, Saro lost it on lap 7, I think it was, brought out the safety car. Toonfan losing it. So LH only goes a further lap. He dives into the pit lane. Where will that bring him out? We'll wait and see. Tristan, does he dive in? Yes, he does. Nathan, does he come round? He does. So Nathan regains the lead of this race, and we'll look to use those soft tyres to put a gap between him and Rayner, etc. But Nismo still needs to pit, remember. He put those on very early, that medium compound, so they won't be able to take him to the end of the race. But Rayner is on fresh hard, so he is Nathan's closest competitor. What gap can he pull to him before he dives into the pit? And again, we shall see. That is the racing point of Tristan. You can see just ahead there. Of Alex, sorry, he comes out in P5. Getting really close now at the top of this Grand Prix. Very wide from the racing point on the exit there though, as Tristan comes out in P10. So fits those harder compound tyres. Hopefully, as I've always said, he can take those till the end of the race. A lot of drivers opting not to use the soft compound. Nathan the exception to that. He's got a 10-second lead over Nismo. Still needs to pit again. I can't see those softs going much more further than they are. Maybe lap 16 or 17. He's done at 9, but a few of those were under the safety car. So it's up to him and Jeff to decide when that McLaren dives into the pit lane. Will it be this lap? We shall see in a few minutes' time, or will he wait a couple of laps before he goes again? You can see the gap though between Rayner and LH is down to under a second. It was 2 or 3 when Rayner boxed. As Nathan boxes now then, so he doesn't think he can go. Probably puts the harder compound tyres on. We shall see. The gap between Rayner and LH was a few seconds when they Rayner pitted, but LH managing to gain, and he's only a few tenths back. Will he make a move then as we come through turn 1? The first lap of the race from Rayner, 1:22.4. His teammate using the toe anything, but I don't think he's going to be able to make a move into turn 1. He's just a little bit too far back and thinks better of it then. Nismo, you can see him in front of this Grand Prix. Made a mistake there through turn 1 and gains a 3-second time penalty. Dragon is past Gav. Then he moves up into P7, but you can see the traction from the Williams on that exit wasn't much better. Dragon with older tyres and making a little bit of a mistake puts Gavlar back into P7. Mono pits in from P13 and he loses the place to Steve. Most drivers already pitting in as we approach lap 17 and the halfway stage of this Grand Prix. Nismo leads Rayner by half a second, but that gap ever closing as they come through turn. Now this is the battle for the lead. I said Rayner was close behind, but LH is not much further. A little bit of a loss of control from Rayner on that exit. He went very, very wide. You saw the dust being kicked up from the rear of that Mercedes. That's put his teammate even closer now. So watch as they come around these final few corners, coming around 12 now. A few different lines being taken by the driver. You saw Regan in the background taking a lot of the curb, almost getting gradually more taken as we saw that sort of 5 or 6 car train coming through. In the background there, Apex not too far behind these drivers. Who's going to be able to make a move then into turn 1? We're on board with the 2 Mercedes. You can see LH and Rayner then. Are either of those going to be able to make a move? You see Rayner dives to the right of Nismo and takes the lead of this race. So he's through down the inside and gains back his lead. Oh, a little bit kick out on the exit from Nismo. That's put LH all over his gearbox, but he's had to back off. Is he going to be able to use that traction from those fresh tyres in the run up to Repsol? It doesn't look like it. Oh, he dives. He's late on the brakes. Oh, and they've touched, and LH is round. LH has sought a gap, but just couldn't get it done, and he is down into 6th place following that spin at Repsol. There goes Dragon down the inside of turn 5 then, and they almost touch. Doing well to stay apart from each other there. This is the battle for the lead then. Rayner already pulling out a 1.5 seconds on the Red Bull of Nismo. Nismo though on older tyres. You see Alex in third, also on an older set of tyres. So looking good for Rayner at the moment. The closest car to him that doesn't need to stop is Regan in P4. That gap is about 3.5 seconds. You see Tristan overtaking Nathan in that battle for P9. Gets the move done coming out of turn 11, but watch for Nathan out of the final corner and on the DRS straight. Ray sets another fastest lap of the race, so 1:22.252 for the Mercedes driver. On board with Nathan in the final points position. He's chasing down these few cars ahead. They are Tristan, Gav and Dragon. You can see cars manoeuvring left and right to try and forge a move, but none of them close enough this time then. I wonder when Dragon will opt to pit then. He's on those 16 lap old tyres after spinning very early on. They won't be able to take him to the end of this race, so does he try and prolong this stint and put a fresh set of softs on, or will he go for the mediums? We wait and see. The gap at the front now 2.6 seconds because Alex has overtaken Nismo. As you see the Red Bull of Nismo looking down the inside at turn 10, but unable to make a move at this moment. Regan ever closer to this battle then for what is P2. Apex doing well. Remember, Apex has had 2 spins and finds himself in P5, but he does need to be, you can see there is 16 laps on this harder compound. As in the gold race, TNR O'Neill leads at the halfway stage, and Denge is in P2, and the real DC on debut in P3. Here 1, 2 and 3 is Rayner, Alex and Nismo. Regan unable to make a move this lap, but is ever closer to that car. LH spinning, you can see in the background there, was catching. He's now a 2.5 back on Apex. As we come down the grid then, Nathan is back past Tristan up into P9. Pitted from the lead, did Nathan. Put on the softs and then pitted again to fit the hards, hoping to make the 2-stop work to his advantage. Steve is in the pits then for his 3rd stop, I believe. Looks like he's lost his front wing though, as he's only on 5 lap old hards. Didn't see a yellow flag. Benny Boy, the unfortunate to not start in this race. So of 18 cars that started, we have 5 out there are Jason and Puppy, Devils, Dracos and Toonfan. Well, not a good day for the Ferraris as Regan is up past Nismo then, so he's made a move either at the DRS or at turn 11 and moves up onto the podium. His next target will be Alex. 1.6 seconds is that gap. Rayner starting to pull away at the front. 2.293 seconds between him and Alex, who boxes. So the Racing Point boxes for a fresh set of tyres. See the big lock up as he tries to make the speed limit. Who else is in? That is Nismo and Apex. So all those that pitted early have pitted now. Dragon goes up. He's the only driver of that group that has carried on. See a little bit of a reshuffle then throughout the pack as they overtake those cars in the pit lane. That puts Gavlar up into P5 behind Dragon. Then Nathan and Tristan 6th and 7th. Stead looking to recover steadily after that spin on the safety car restart. Remember, he was in the lead, but as we saw on stream, he put the throttle down a bit too early, lost the rear end and luckily steered clear of the wall, but he did lose quite a few positions. He's now chasing down that Racing Point of Tristan. We've got yellow flags in sector 2. Who's that for? Looks like Steve's gone round again. He has indeed, so he's just pitted for a front wing and he needs a new one again. How unfortunate for the Haas driver. So Rayner there leads Regan. You can see that gap, but Steve's taking out the braking boards. That's not good to see. Drivers' reference points will be lost potentially as the virtual safety car is out then. So stays unorthodox line, causing a VSC. Lap 20 of 33. Rayner leads Regan and LH. Dragon on speed is 4th, but he does need to pit again. Might think about doing it now under this VSC period, but we shall see. $13 laps to go. VSC is back in then. Steve's given another penalty for corner cutting. DRS re-enables itself and we are back at racing conditions. Steve goes from bad to worse. So 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Nismo Apex coming out in P10 and 11 then following their stops. Reina leads by 3.5 seconds now, managing to pull away at that restart. LH is at the back of this little pack. You can see they're pushing that Mercedes as wide as he can through the different track limits, trying to avoid warnings coming up through turn 9. Gap between him and Regan in front is 1.7 seconds, but Regan all the while is chasing down Reina, who's you can't even see until just then. He's at turn 12. Regan's only just coming in to that there. What about going back down? Dragon on 19 at Old Hart. He's got Gavlar and Nathan just behind him. This is the closest battle on track then for P4. What can these drivers do as they come down in towards turns 13, 14 and 15? Watch out for DRS for both Gav and Tristan in this long straight. NH gets the fast lap of the race at 1:22.1. I said he was pushing that Mercedes, and he takes that fast up a 10th faster than his teammate. Both times set on the harder compound tyres then. We're 2/3 of the way through this race. Reina leads Regan and LH. Dragon managing to stay ahead through the first DRS and then coming through Repsol into turn 5. This 3-car battle as Steve retires then. So Steve retires in the pit lane and will take no further part in this race. Or the Williams there looking down the inside at turn 7. Don't really want to make a move there though, as it's more than likely going to result in contact as they come up through here at turn 9. The Gavlar goes very, very wide though on the exit, but he gets the move done, and we can see Nathan is also through. He's up into P4. So not a good few corners for Dragon. The Alfa Romeo driver back down to 6th and possibly could box this lap. We shall see. So Gavlar and Nathan up then. Nathan chasing the Williams for P4. LH 1.2 seconds the gap between him and Regan. Oh, you can already see the massive amount of speed you gain from having DRS here. He pulls to the right hand side and gets that move done on the Williams car. Makes it stick through the first corner then. What about Reina at the front of this race? Almost on his own then. 2.5 seconds between him and Regan. Coming through turn 7 now. LH chasing down Regan, currently splitting the Mercedes. Getting the car nicely rotated through that turn 10. He's going to be able to move. Gavlar is up past Dragon on speed. Bit of support from his teammate then as Nismo is chasing down Apex for the final point. On offer. That's currently occupied by Apex. He's on the mediums after pitting. Then he's chasing down Alex, who's just ahead. But this is the closest battle on track then for P6. Dragon losing time on those old hards. He's got Tristan all over the back of him. Stead's not too far behind them either. As you see, almost 3 wide coming down into the first corner. Gavlar going around the outside of Dragon, regaining what is P5. Is Tristan going to be able to have the traction on the exit then? He goes around the outside of turn 3. Gavlar letting Dragon on speed back through. Looks like he's running a little bit too wide at Repsol. And that might put Tristan through down the inside. We shall see. Tristan takes a very tight line. Looks down the outside of turn 5. Oh, and there's almost a bit of contact on the exit. That forced Stead a little bit of harsh braking. Has he kept his wing? Yes, he has. So Tristan is up through. Nice move from the Racing Point driver. He's going to now be chasing Dragon on speed through this first DRS zone. As we come into turn 10, he's just a bit too far back. The gap at the front though, down to just half a second. I'm not quite sure whether Rain has made a mistake or not, but Regan is within DRS range for the start of lap 25. Is he going to be able to make a move? LH closing in as well. He's just a second back on this fight for P1. Not this time for Regan, but that will give him confidence knowing he's got that gap down just over 2.5 seconds it was. It's now just 3/10 as they come through the first sort of section of corners. Stead is up past Gav, then uses DRS, goes down the inside and takes the line into that first corner in front. Back up to Regan then on board as we chase down Rayner coming out of turn 6. Don't want to try and make a move and ruin your race in turn 7 and 8. Choosing wisely to not focus there, but he will be looking to get a good exit out of 9 and potentially make a move in the DRS. You can see him holding the throttle a little bit, but Rayner's got a good exit as well, so they will stay as they are for now. But we can see the gap between LH is 4/10 quicker than what it was the last time round. Oh, as Regan takes a lot of the curve on the left, you can see that rear end bumping up. Rayner takes a wide line out of 12. This battle getting ever closer. Tristan's up past Dragon then into P5, taking the outside at turn 10 using that DRS and his fresh tyres. So here we go then. Regan is the closest he's been. He's just a 10th behind Rayner, and I'm sure he will get this move done now. ERS though is very low, but the DRS has enough to take him through, and he pulls to the right hand side down the inside of Rayner, and Regan takes the lead of this race here in Spain. There's almost contact from Rayner just behind. He's got a very good exit, but unable to use that to his advantage. Stead past Dragon as he pits. Gavlar also in the pits. That pushes Stead up to 6th, and Alex goes up into 7th. Apex will take 8th place as well. What a battle this is at the front of the Grand Prix. We've got just 7 laps to go. You can see why Mercedes are crowned Constructors' Championship. Remember, it's across both the silver and gold divisions that the Constructors' points are required. But the Mercedes in silver, 2nd and 3rd currently. LH started P15. He's in at P3. Rayner started, I think it was P5. He's up into 2nd, led for a lot of this race. But Regan's able to get that gap down and took the lead last lap. But there will be a lot of DRS coming into play. Will Rayner be able to get down the inside of Regan? Will LH be able to make a move on either of them? We shall see as we come into turn 13 now, flicking the car right and then left through what is this new corner section at this Grand Prix. Again, you can see the flap opening on the back of Rayner's Mercedes. He's within a 10th. Regan pulls right to defend. Rayner is left and through. So Rayner regains the lead of this race. I expect to see a lot more of this for the final few laps. If they can stay within a second and stay clear of mistakes, they will pull away. They've got 10 seconds between these guys and Nathan behind them. Who's that yellow flag for? Looks like one of the Red Bulls has gone wide. Gavlar also going wide. He's dropped down to P11 following that pit stop. He's coming through turn 13 now then, back on board with the fight for first position. Regan will be close as they come up through turn 7. Will they be able to make a move? LH still keeping tabs on this battle, hoping to pounce on any mistakes made, any wide lines from these two drivers. Regan not close enough this time as LH dives down the inside. Then I said, will we be able to make a move? And there you have it. We're on board with Regan, but LH down the inside of the Toro Rosso, and it's now a Mercedes 1-2. That is the Williams at turn 1 going wide. Gavlar spinning, taking probably too much of that curve, but camera angle a little bit unfortunate for us. Was on board with Regan there, but LH diving down the inside at turn 10. He takes the lead ahead of Regan and looks now like he might be able to make a move on his teammate for the actual lead of this Grand Prix, but a bit too far back then, I think, as we head into the braking zone. Lap 28 of 33. We've got just 5 laps remaining here at the season finale of FNR Silver. Rayner leads his teammate LH by just a 10th and a half. Regan has dropped back a bit. He was in the lead a few laps ago. He's now in P3. Nathan a further 10 second back, looking to catch this pack, but I don't think he'll be able to. Tristan is P5, Stead 6, Alex 7th, Apex 8th, Dragon in 9th, and Nismo currently taking the fastest point, but Dragon has just gone faster, 1:20.5, so his fastest lap 6/10 faster than what it was from LH. Those softer tyres coming into play. We can see the LH all over the gearbox of his teammates as they come up the hill into turn 9. Is he going to be able to make a move under DRS? He's already pulled to the right, and I think he's got this move done. You can see from on board with Rayner that LH is through down the outside, but he's allowed his teammate a nice tight line through turn 10. However, he gets the move stuck, so LH takes the lead of this race. Rayner is second, and Regan has now closed up. The gap is just under a second between all three of these drivers. Coming through the final chicane section now, we're right on board with Regan at the back of this pack. Rayner takes a little bit of the grass on the exit of 16, but he will have DRS on the car in front of him. That is his team at LH. Regan, unfortunate that Rayner has that DRS and won't be able to make a move this time, but we've got just 4 laps to go. 5 if you include this one. See the tyre wear starting to kick in a little bit now. Most of these front runners have been on these tyres for about 10 to 15 laps. You can see LH pitted a lap later than Rayner, but the gap is just 4/10. Great racing here as always at FNR. We've seen a good couple of battles on track in Italy, for example, where the top 6 were all within touch and distance. We had a great battle for the sort of 2nd, 3rd, 4th last week after Alex had pulled away. We've now got a great battle for the lead here. Currently LH pulled out 7/10 on his teammate. Regan's back end kicking out massively there on the exit, but is he going to be able to get through on DRS? It looks like he hasn't this time. How wide was Rayner's line on there? The switchback from Regan down the inside of turn 11, but he backs off and lets the Mercedes back through, not being confident enough there without damage by the looks of things. But Nathan closed the gap by 2 seconds on the previous laps. But look on your time screens there. All importantly, LH has pulled a second to his teammates, so he is without DRS. Rayner. That means Regan will have a chance if he can get close enough to overtake and take P2. I don't think he'll be able to do it this time though, as Rayner uses that toe, so ever so slight toe to get through. Who's that going slow? Looks like it's Mono leading cars through the back marker of this race. Unfortunately for Mono, not been a good race. Stayed out of trouble, but just hasn't been good for him. Back on board Stead, then he's all over the back of Tristan's gearbox, fighting for P5. He was in P1, remember. He spun on the safety car restart, found himself in 11th. He's fought away back up to 6th, pitted for those harder tyres, as you can see, a lap before Tristan, but all over his gearbox now, hoping to use DRS to his advantage. Out of turn 9, will stay on board with this before jumping back on. I think LH has managed to stay in front of Rayner, and likewise Rayner is able to stay in front of Regan through that DRS zone. They've got a 8-second lead over Nathan, so unless anything goes wrong in these last 3 laps, I think that is your podium. But what order they'll be in, we do not know, and we look forward to finding out here as Silvo. Stead goes down the outside of Tristan, then in DRS, and I said he'd have to look getting it done, and he has got it done. So that's P5 for Stead. What about Nathan? All sort of in a race of his own at the moment. 8 seconds to the car in front, 8 seconds to the car in back. Very solid race from him. He started P2, was in the lead of this race, but those softs strategy didn't work for him. He's in P4. The one stop seeming to be the optimal strategy then. So the gap back down to within a few seconds for Rayner. Regan still within a second of the leader, but dropping back ever so slightly. How will these 3 finish in the final couple of laps? Coming through Repsol now. You can see already on the minimap just the gap that they have to the cars behind. They've done very well. LH started P15, remember, went on the mediums and it lasted about, I think it was lap 14 or 15, he pitted and got in front of Rayner, his teammate. Rayner went on lap 14, I believe, from his medium to hards after starting on a P5, and he led for the majority of this race, but LH was able to catch, Regan was able to catch, and the 3 of them have been exchanging their positions ever since. But that's Rayner going wide at the exit of turn 10, but Regan unable to capitalise. The gap between Rayner has opened up a little bit to LH. It's now just under a second. Is that going to be close enough for him to have DRS on the final pit straight? We shall see. You can see the gap there, ever slightly flicked above 1 second. See the train starting to form. No, Rayner does not have DRS, so Regan unable to capitalise this time. He's almost been dropped by Rayner. 18 laps on these hard. Lap 32 of 33, the penultimate lap here of SNR for 2019. LH leads Rayner, who is just a second ahead of Regan. The gap now 1.2. So Rayner will possibly have DRS on LH, but will he be able to use it? Rayner dropping back a little bit, made a mistake in a braking zone perhaps. We've been on board with this battle. We didn't see anything obvious, but that is crucial because for these last 2 laps he will not have the DRS. On board with Rayner then as we come up through turn 9. Is he going to be able to make a move? No, because the gap is just a second still now. What will it be as we come around turn 12 now, about to start the last lap of the race? Welcome back, Daniel. How was your experience in gold? We missed you here at silver. Would have been a full grid if you had stayed, but that's just the way it is. So LH, oh, a lot of curb taken by Rayner. This will be one of the last chances as we start the last lap of this race and the last lap of season 1 FNR silver, lap 33 of 33 here at the Circuit de Catalunya. Rayner doesn't look like he is close enough. Unlucky Dan retiring and finishing P14, but hopefully that was a good experience for you. I'm sure you would have been part of this battle for the lead had you been racing here today. What about Regan? He's dropped a little bit, but he's still within that second of Rayner. It's all important. You've got to make sure you get this half a lap precise, or you will face the car overtaking you from behind. Nathan now 9 seconds back from this group and still got that 8-second gap to Stead though, so it looks like he's got P4 secure. So we see the wide lines taken by a few of those drivers. We're about in the last few corners, just 4 corners remain. Oh, and Rayner looks down the inside of LH, unable to make a move this time. Got too far back, so LH comes round turn 12 into the chicane of what is 12, 13 and 14. Rayner just behind, you can see there, but it looks like for the last time this season when we see the checkered flag, it will be LH 44 on the top step. It comes around the final corner, crosses the line. It is victory for LH, Rayner and Regan 2 and 3. So it is indeed LH takes top spot. Rayner is P2. The Mercedes showing why they are Constructors' Championship this year. Good race from Nathan. He finishes P4. Stead will cross the line 8 seconds back. He will be P5. As Alex comes across in P6. What a race from Nathan. Spun twice in this race. He finishes P7. Congratulations to him. Dragon on those softs will come across the line in P8. Tristan dropping back a little bit. Think he's run out of fuel. No, disaster for the Racing Point driver. He's run out of fuel and will cross the line in P9 as Mono and Gavlar, the lapped cars, finish. Tristan in P9, and we just wait for Nismo. Then he's gone wide at turn 7, so he's got half a lap still to be completed, but he will take the final port on offer. Started in P9 and finishes in P10, so a nice little race for him. There we have it. SNR is done and dusted. LH won for Mercedes. His teammate Rayner just behind stormed through the grid. LH started P15 in qualifying. Remember Q1 he lost it at turn 7, did make it into Q2, but that crash meant he wasn't able to take part, and he played that one stop to perfection, pitting on, I think it was lap 14, getting those medium compounds to last, getting the harder compound to last, and getting that gap down between his teammate of about 2.5 seconds, and he will stand on top of the podium, the final driver to take that position in this SNR season. Shout out to Rayner and Regan for what was a thrilling battle for the league, exchanging between them all the time. And there you have it. LH atop the Mercedes 1 and 2, and Regan in 3rd. Shout out to Dragon on Speedo, softer compound tyres, giving him the fast lap of the race of 1:20.5. That'll be an extra point for him. He come home in 7th place. What a drive from LH. That's all I can say. Thank you very much to everyone that has been tuning in for season 1 here at RRC. We will be running season 2 in the new game, so if you are interested in taking part, remember, as I said earlier on, we run 6 races across the week, all with different formats for season 2. So if you are interested, search for us on Facebook, watch our YouTube channels back, see what it's like, and get in contact with us. So there you have it, the final racing grid of 2019 for FNR. LH won by just under a second, and Regan was P3. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we shall see you again soon.